you invest, the better for your future. My name is Ruth Waidera Mwangi. I'm a sales and marketing professional. My journey with UAP Old Mutual began about 4 years ago. My first meeting with Simon was over a cup of coffee. He showed me a couple of simulations of how my money would grow over time, and it opened my mind to the idea of investment. Old Mutual is very personal and human in their approach. You are able to see a partner who cares about you, who takes your investment seriously as if it's their own investment. It does show the surety and how solid UAP Old Mutual is.
Hello, madam. Would you like to join us on this mission?
Yes, but how?
Just one question for you. How do you keep your toilet clean?
I use regular detergent and bleach for washing and removing yellow stains. I've been using it for years.
Oh, madam, the regular detergents and bleach are used for washing clothes. To disinfect your toilet properly, you need Harpic 10X. It is specially made for germs and stains removal. Harpic's thick formula settles on stains and gives 10 times better cleaning compared to regular detergents and bleach.
Wow, now I'm convinced, Helen Paul.
Really?
Yeah.
Now that she's part of the mission, the next house is yours.
That's when she replied, "Give me one good reason to stay with you." Nikamtumia 100 reasons to be my boo. Akanisho unabonga sana kwa text lakini in real life when I'm timid. Hapo nika get minutes ya kupaint picture vivid. Akasema ati I'm in demand. Unadhani DM yangu ni MD? Kumbe nilikuwa nishasotiwa na 100 MB.
Call, SMS and browse from only 10 shillings with Telkom. Now that's power. Telkom, moving with you.
Do more to protect yourself and family from viruses that remain on the clothes. Separate laundry that has been exposed and do not shake to minimize the possibility of dispersing the virus through the air. Soaking your laundry in water and hand washing powder does more to kill germs than just a normal wash. After washing, dry your clothes in direct sunlight.
They say we do the expected. We say we're more than you expect. Sunlight, more than you expect.
This is NTV.
Hi there, a very warm welcome to you. Thanks for tuning in to NTV. These are some of the top stories lined up for you tonight.
Tonight, DPP Nurdin Haji stirs up the waters in the Aror and Kimwarer dams scam. Former Principal Secretary to testify against his former boss, Henry Rotich. Ex-PSs Kamal Thuge and Susan Koech are no longer suspects, but state witnesses. And a crashing afternoon in Voi. 4 Kenya Defence Forces officers die after the aircraft they were flying in crashed. Plus, A Form 3 student was late to school, and when they sought to punish him, he knifed 2 teachers in rebellion.
One was critically injured, that's Edwin Mukaya. The other one has already been treated and has been allowed to go home.
Bitterness and blood at Kisii High School. Also tonight, Uganda forcefully taken offline. Government orders blackout on social media and messaging apps as Bobi Wine says army raided his home.
Last night, one of our team members, my driver sometimes and works mainly as a mechanic, one Katerega, was shot by the military and he passed away this morning.
NTV Tonight with Smriti Vidyarthi.
And joining us in sign language interpretation is David Agondoa. To our top story, former Treasury Principal Secretary Kamau Thuge will now testify against his former boss, former Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich, in the 63 billion shilling Kimwarer and Aror Dam scandal case that's before the Anti-Corruption Court in Milimani. NTV's Seth Olale reports that Thuge and former Tourism and Wildlife Principal Secretary Susan Koech have been turned into state witnesses by the Director of Public Prosecutions, a move seen as providing watertight evidence against Rotich and 24 other accused persons implicated in the multi-billion shilling graft.
Director of Public Prosecutions Nurdin Haji has dropped all corruption-related charges against former Treasury PS Kamau Thuge and former Tourism and Wildlife PS Susan Koech in the 63 billion shillings Kimwarer and Aror Dam scandal case ongoing at the Anti-Corruption Court in Milimani. State prosecutor in the multi-billion graft case, Alexander Muteti, told Chief Magistrate Douglas Ogoti that the two will instead be state witnesses against former Treasury Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich and 24 other accused persons charged over corruption-related crimes in mid-2019. The court allowed the DPP's application and ordered Thuge and Susan's cash bail be returned to them. Former CS Rotich, former Kerio Valley Development Authority Managing Director David Kimosop, Chief Economist at Treasury Kennedy Nachiro, Head of Europe Division at Treasury Jackson Kinanjui, and Director of Resource Mobilization at Treasury Titus Muridhi were among suspects charged with multiple counts including abuse of office, conspiracy to commit an economic crime, conferring a benefit, and single sourcing for insurance of the projects, and approving payment contrary to the law. The DPP has been ordered by the court to produce in court 18 Italians that were charged alongside former CS Rotich over the Kimwarer Dam scandal. Alexander Muteti told the court that they have contacted the Italian government over the same. The offences were allegedly committed between December 2014 and January 2019. The case will be mentioned on February 15, 2021 before the Anti-Corruption Court.
Elsewhere, the Council of Governors Chairman Wycliffe Oparanya has now said if the current health workers' strike goes on, the counties will have to employ new ones who are more eager to work. Unfazed, the Kenya National Union of Nurses says their strike, currently in its 36th day, will continue unless their return to work formula is signed. They add that the Council of Governors is responsible for their refusal to return to work as they're playing hide and seek with the nurses. Gina Kirori has more.
The Kenya National Union of Nurses has revealed that nurses in Vihiga did not receive their salary for up to 16 months as of last year. These are among the issues nurses say will prevent them from returning to work, as well as a low-risk allowance offered by the government, especially during the pandemic. But there is another pickle involved in the stalemate, according to the nurses.
It is a blame game that we are not ready to enter into. What we know is that there's a commitment by the national government, but the Council of Governors is changing their goalposts at the last minute.
The Kenya National Union of Nurses has faulted the Council of Governors despite a commitment made by the national government on signing the nurses' back-to-work formula.
It's unfortunate that even the initial signing of the return to work formula for the nurses union has not taken place, despite the fact that the issues we agreed on all the issues. And this is a clear indication that health sector in this country has not been taken with the seriousness it deserves.
The chairman of the Council of Governors, Wycliffe Oparanya, has today reiterated counties simply cannot afford to meet the health workers' demands because money has not been disbursed to counties since October 2020. He says an alternative to the stalemate will be to employ other health workers.
Lakini sahi hatuna pesa. Saiti ya bilioni 70. We are wasting a lot of time on strikes. Lakini mimi nimeamua kuanzia wiki ijayo mimi naandika watu wengine.
The union says that despite county governments going to court to issue an injunction against the strike, the court ruled on 15th December that the county governments should engage with the health workers. With no end in sight, at least for now with the national nurses strike, thousands of Kenyans continue to suffer from the fractured healthcare system. The ball is now in the Council of Governors court to see if they will end the stalemate on the nurses' return to work formula. Gena Kirori, NTV.
Well, the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union says it will take legal action against the Mombasa County government and the Mombasa County Commissioner for allegedly evicting the union's Coast Branch official, Dr. Hassan Mkuche, from his house this evening due to the ongoing labour dispute in the county. The union says the move is an act of barbarity. Well, to a shocking act now, and 2 teachers in Kisii County are nursing serious injuries after a knife-wielding student attacked and stabbed them several times in a bizarre incident that has raised safety concerns inside learning institutions countrywide. The 2 teachers were rushed to a nearby private hospital for treatment, while the attacker was arrested by police. Oko Okusa has more.
Hospital workers in a frantic move to save the lives of the injured teachers. Edwin Mokaya and Alvin Maatu, both teachers at Kisii National School, are victims of a student gone rogue who allegedly assaulted them on Tuesday morning.
Edwin sustained most of the injuries, so he had some bruises on the occiput of the back, at the right leg plus the hand.
The Form 3 student is said to have reported late to class, but refused to kneel down as directed by his teacher, Edwin Mokaya. Instead, he pulled out a knife, tucked in his socks, and viciously stabbed the helpless teacher before turning the knife on Alvin Maatu, who had come to the rescue of his colleague. Both teachers were rushed to Ram Hospital in the school's van, where Maatu was treated and discharged, and Mokaya admitted for surgery.
One is likely to be taken to theatre once he stabilizes. The other one with minor injuries has been administered and has already been discharged.
Kisii County Commissioner Abdirisak Jaldesa confirmed to NTV on phone that the suspect had been arrested as investigations into the incident continue. Family members of the assaulted teachers are crying for action.
Sasa naomba serikali ichunge walimu kwa sababu watoto waleo ni watoto wabaya sana.
We want to appeal that teachers need to be protected, they need to be safe so that their welfare is well known.
How the student managed to sneak the deadly weapon into the school compound despite thorough screening is a matter detectives investigating the incident will have to unravel. Okokusa, NTV.
To another top story now. A VIP and 3 Kenya Defence Forces officers have died as a KDF aircraft crashed earlier today at the Tsavo East National Park in Taita Taveta County. The identities of the VIP who perished alongside the military men is yet to be disclosed, as the family and others are first informed of the matter. The aircraft, a Harbin Y-12, took off from Moi Air Base in Eastleigh, Nairobi County. It took joint rescue efforts from the Kenya Defence Forces, the Kenya Wildlife Service and the Kenya Red Cross officials that teamed up in the search and rescue mission. The Kenya Defence Forces confirmed the incident but with limited information. Now, yesterday it emerged that the taxpayer had been spared 33 billion shillings worth of debt service payments, at least for the next 6 months following relief from the Paris Club. Whereas this move is welcome, it is far from sufficient in addressing Kenya's growing vulnerability to debt distress. Well, let's now take a look at how the debt position stands. And as of the latest report from the National Treasury, which was released in December, Kenya's public debt stands at 7.12 trillion shillings. That is 51% of this debt is denominated in foreign currency, with the remaining 49% denominated in Kenya shillings. Now, you must be wondering how much interest we are charged for this debt. Well, the average interest rate on external debt is 4.2%, while the average for domestic debt stands at 11.0%. Now, 39% of Kenya's external debt is owed to multilateral lenders. This category has the likes of the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, and the Africa Development Bank. 31% is owed to commercial creditors, and this refers to the Eurobonds Kenya aggressively tapped into between 2014 and 2018. The remaining 30% of external debt is owed to bilateral creditors, and this refers to the borrowing from the other governments such as China and the Paris Club plus others. Now, in the current financial year, the taxpayer should be paying 154 billion shillings in interest on foreign debt. The top 5 payments out of this 154 billion shillings are the 29.9 billion shillings being paid to the Exim Bank of China, the 22.6 billion being paid to the Trade Development Bank, the 17 billion shillings payment for the 2018 $2 billion US, and the 15 billion payment for the 2014 $2.75 billion US Eurobond. And finally, the 8.9 billion shilling payment to the World Bank's International Development Association. So how much in total are we as taxpayers to pay in debt service in the current financial year? Well, it is a whopping 904 billion shillings. And that's why we need relief on debt repayment. My colleague Victor Kiprop will be digging deeper into this subject during the business broadcast. Elsewhere now and across the borders, Uganda's communications regulator has ordered the shutdown of social media and messaging applications just 2 days ahead of the highly charged elections. Facebook, WhatsApp and Twitter were down in Kenya's neighbour to the west today, international news agency AFP reports. Now, the news firm says it has seen a letter where the Uganda Communications Commission Executive Director, that's Irene Sawankambo, ordered telecommunications companies to, quote, immediately suspend any access and use of social media and online messaging platforms. An industry insider who spoke to AFP said that the order was first communicated in, quote, nasty and aggressive phone calls to the telecom firms on Tuesday morning. AFP further says that the calls made it clear that the order was a retaliation for Facebook deleting pro-government accounts for seeking to manipulate public debate ahead of the election. Now, UCC spokesman Ibrahim Bossa said that he's not aware of a directive to switch off internet or social media platforms, adding that there has been slow connectivity on the platforms, which can be partly due to heavy traffic as a result of the forthcoming elections. Well, while the interwebs were being disrupted, presidential candidates Robert Chagulanyi, Mugisha Muntu and Patrick Amuriat spoke and insisted that voters should not leave the polling stations quickly to guard against rigging. This in spite of a warning from the Electoral Commission not to hang around. The candidates have agreed to use their networks to protect their votes. The Electoral Commission maintains that crowds around the polling stations pose a risk of COVID-19 transmission. Ali Mivula covered the meeting in Kampala, where Chagulanyi claimed that his house had been raided by military officers who killed one of his workers.
64 days after the presidential campaign started, 3 opposition candidates have come together to speak on a number of political issues. The campaign period ends today. The candidates have asked voters to turn up in large numbers on the 14th of January.
Casting a vote by itself is an expression of your desire to have a leader elected to lead you for the next 5 years.
But the higher the numbers of the Ugandan people who come out and vote, the higher the possibility of putting off peaceful change for the first time through an electoral process.
Please communicate this message to everybody you know and help those that cannot carry themselves to the polling station, the old and the weak and the ill.
The Electoral Commission recently announced a number of security measures during the elections, among them a ban on using cameras at polling stations and another on voters from remaining in the area after they cast their ballot. The opposition candidates say this is an illegality.
And we are telling you that you will not be breaking the law when you stand and watch your vote.
That is our line of defense. And we draw this line of defense from our own experience as the Forum for Democratic Change.
Leaders, candidates for that matter, should ensure that they have agents at all polling stations who should take care of their interests and not expose their populations to risk of contracting COVID-19 through large gatherings.
The candidates accused the Commission of concealing the serial numbers of some ballot papers, which they suspect might affect the outcome of the elections. The EC's acting spokesperson Paul Bukenya, however, says the candidates were availed with all the necessary documents.
We have received files, part of which they needed to be within the packing list that specifies serial numbers. Those serial numbers specific to the polling stations where the ballots go. We have not received that yet. In the meeting that we seek to have with the Electoral Commission, we hope by that time they will have rectified that anomaly. It is something that we intend to keep pushing.
So set a complete set, and as you can see on our records, the serial numbers are documented, clearly documented, and each candidate has a copy of these files.
Meanwhile, former presidential candidate Dr. Kizza Besigye advised that denying President Yoweri Museveni a majority of 50% plus 1 is more crucial than fronting a single opposition candidate.
If Mr. Museveni failed to win 50%, it means immediately all these would rally behind whoever has the highest vote and into a second round.
It has been our call for we, the leaders, and for the people of Uganda to unite. We are convinced that the people of Uganda are going to be united. And we are here to demonstrate our unity.
About 18.1 million eligible voters are expected to cast their vote. 11 candidates are running for president. Ali Mevole, NTV.
So why are the Ugandan elections important to Kenyans? Well, here's a sneak peek of what's at stake and what's lined up from the NTV team covering the Thursday polls.
Kenya's largest export destination, with volumes worth 64 billion shillings per annum. A major source of Kenya's 143 gigawatt hours worth of imported electricity annually. One of two countries with which Kenya has mutually waived work permit fees for citizens, thereby liberalizing movement of labor across borders. What's at stake for Kenya as 18 million Ugandans head to the polls this Thursday? What does Uganda's 2021 general election mean for an increasingly integrated East African market and Kenya's position in it? This Thursday, NTV brings you round-the-clock, in-depth coverage and analysis of Uganda's election and what it means for Kenya.
This Thursday, tune in to NTV at 9 a.m. All right, well, at this point, we take a quick breather on the broadcast. Do stay with us. There's plenty more on the other side.
That's when she replied, "Give me one good reason to stay with you." Nikamtumia 100 reasons to be my boo. Akanisho unabonga sana kwa text lakini in real life when I'm timid. Hapo nika get minutes ya kupaint picture vivid. Akasema ati I'm in demand. Unadhani DM yangu ni MD? Kumbe nilikuwa nishasotiwa na 100 MB.
Call, SMS and browse from only 10 shillings with Telkom. Now that's power. Telkom, moving with you.
Kuchukua selfie ni kuchukua control ya future yako. Buy an Quick or Insti HIV test kit from your local pharmacy or through My Dawa. Hurry and get yours today at 150 Kenya shillings for a limited period of time. To talk to someone on how to use the test kits or interpret the test results and what to do next, call 1190. Amua kujua. Chukua selfie.
So something has happened. I need you right now. I didn't mean to, and now she won't pick up.
Okay, get in. There's somewhere I know we can go. Is that the only reason you called? Because I'm your best friend?
What other reason should there be?
Are you in love with Joey?
Yes, I love her.
I mean, you could marry me.
Come on, V.
Select a plot of value-added land within Garden of Joy gated community off Koma Kennel Road, Machakos. Now ukwamue January na 21K with Optiven. Call us now on 0790 300 300.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta's sentiments on Saturday that beyond the Kikuyu and Kalenjin, other tribes could also lead the country offer a glimpse of behind-the-scenes discussions that are probably geared towards having a Mount Kenya-Nyanza political relationship. NTV senior political affairs reporter Kennedy Mureithi looks at the forces lining up against Deputy President William Ruto for 2022.
Kuna jamii tu mbili za Kenya ambazo zimetawala, labda ni nafasi ya jamii nyingine pia kutawala.
The statement may have been said in irritation as the president responded to a series of attacks from the Tanga team, but did not come from the blues.
Jamii za Kenya ni mingi. Sio tu kuja kutupatupa maneno huko na ujui ni nini unasema, kulete hasira na uhasima kati ya Wakenya. We want one strong, united Kenya of 48 million people.
There has been a covert push from the Mount Kenya region to have other tribes take over the mantle of leadership. But in exchange for support is the promise of having someone from Mount Kenya as the deputy.
Let us negotiate a good position for the Mount Kenya region. Na nyinyi kwa sababu kura zenu nyingi. Hiyo kura zenu na nyingi. Musigawanye. We are about 80 million voters.
In December, senior politicians from Mount Kenya, including Jubilee Vice Chairperson David Murathe, Meru Governor Kiraito Muronge and former Gatanga MP Peter Kenneth took ODM leader Raila Odinga and a host of his loyal MPs on a tour of Nyandarua County, where apart from selling the political agenda, they also broke bread.
We in the Mount Kenya region, for a long time, we have been used to power. President Mzee Jomo Kenyatta miaka 15, Mwai Kibaki miaka 10, Uhuru Kenyatta itakuwa miaka 10. I don't see that leadership at the top coming to Mount Kenya region for another minimum 10 years, maybe another 20 years. Kwa hivyo wakati imefika wa kugeuza game.
A clique of politicians has been rooting for a fresh relationship between Mount Kenya and Nyanza, with the names of ODM leader Raila Odinga and Interior CS Fred Matiang'i featuring prominently. In a tweet last week, political analyst Mutahi Ngunyi also pointed to the fact that Kikuyus will be out of power for some time, noting their future must be decided within the next 365 days. He wrote, "To circulate the presidency between Kikuyus and Kalenjins is a crime against the other 41 tribes. Choices, Raila or Matiang'i."
I said there will be new political formations in this country. Unaona inafanyika?
The team advancing the newfound relationship between the lake and the mountain is either pushing for a Raila Peter Kenneth ticket, a Matiang'i Mutahi Kagwe ticket, or a Musalia Peter Kenneth ticket, oscillating between Mount Kenya, Nyanza and Western regions.
Tuunganishe BBI na the owners of BBI. Moja tunajua anaenda retire. Sindio? Mwingine anabaki to implement.
Why do people say Raila cannot? This is man who has rebelated this country from so many bad issues that we have been having in this country.
Na kama wewe ni watinga na pia unataka kiti Murang'a, it is okay. Kuja umuuze hapa. Lakini tuache hiyo hypocrisy. Anapelekwa hapa, kunawekwa kahema, pahali kwingine kunawekwa kahema. Ati kuna wadosi hapo wakiiba dance, wakiiba mugithi, reggae ikikwisha. Mutapiga hiyo na siasa yote Nairobi, lakini wenye kuamua ni hawa ambao wako hapa.
President Kenyatta's sentiments have been interpreted by his deputy and his lieutenants as the highest form of betrayal, especially now that he is vacating his earlier stand that he will rule for 10 years and Ruto for another 10 years.
And I supported Uhuru Kenyatta when President Kibaki was in office. Many of the people who were talking yesterday, they were the ones who are telling me you cannot support another Kikuyu. And I told them I am not supporting Uhuru Kenyatta because of his tribe. I am supporting Uhuru Kenyatta because we have a plan.
Nataka nimuulize Uhuru Kenyatta aende retire pole pole. Awachie wa Kenya waamue nani atakuwa rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya watano wa taifa letu la Kenya.
He did not say that people should not vote for the DP. The point was that Kenyans are free to vote for whoever they want to vote for.
Kennedy Muredhi, NTV.
From the politics, we turn now to COVID-19, and 98 more people have tested positive for the coronavirus out of a sample size of 3,369. The country's national caseload now stands at 98,432. Out of the new cases, 87 are Kenyans and 11 are foreigners. 63 are male and 35 are female. The highest number of new infections has been recorded in Nairobi County once again, with 49 new cases, followed by Mombasa with 14, Uasin Gishu 8 and Kiambu with 4. 154 patients have recovered from the virus, and that brings the total number of recoveries to 81,255. But the virus has claimed the lives of 3 more people, and that raises the death toll to 1,716. Now, a Matatu tout left a court in stitches when he confessed that he smokes bhang and drinks alcohol, which makes him see older women appear more attractive and also helps him to understand the Building Bridges Initiative report better. Wycliffe Orinda, who was charged with creating disturbance by visiting his wife's workplace in Nairobi and causing chaos, pleaded guilty. The court ordered that the suspect is remanded until January 28th for his probation report.
Nikifuta sigari safari, nasikia niko safarini yaona. Nikikunywa senator, I feel very happy. Nasikia niko na nguvu yaona.
Uko safari ya kwenda wapi wewe?
Ya kufikisha BBI yaona, mimi nangangana ndio tupate BBI, nipate Caroline, nipate watoto wawili, tukue na BBI yaona, hiyo ndio safari yangu. Singangani na kitu kingine yaona.
Safari inakupeleka safari ya BBI.
Yes, yaona.
Then it takes you to where?
Safari ya kwenda Canada yaona.
And bank now takes you to where?
Bank nikuwe na pesa niende cooperative yaona kuchukua pesa yaona.
And the other one you said was ice.
Sorry?
Ice. Did you say ice?
I say I use bank one.
Yeah. Safari cigarette.
Safari cigarette.
Senator. And then there was the ice. Did you say the other one was?
I didn't understand the ice, madam.
Just an honest guy or a high guy or a confused guy? Probably all of the above. All right, at this point we take a quick break. Dan Mwangi is just around the corner. He's got the business news lined up for us.
Vina vegetable oil stays liquid to the last drop, so it's smooth cooking from start to finish. Now with an easy-to-pour cap, mapishi poa, madishi poa.
Fun and food got together beautifully at GMC Place. Enjoy our succulent meals in a serene setting with a varied choice of fun games for the little ones. Cup it up with a cuppa or a cocktail, all available to your taste. Discover the joy of a warm pool by diving into the Blue Oasis heated pool. Or at GMC Place, the fun never ends. Make your reservation today on 0701 560 560.
Kuchukua selfie ni kuchukua control ya future yako. Buy an Oraquick or Insti HIV test kit from your local pharmacy or through My Dawa. Hurry and get yours today at 150 Kenya shillings for a limited period of time. To talk to someone on how to use the test kits or interpret the test results and what to do next, call 1190. Amua kujua. Chukua selfie.
Good evening and welcome to NTV Business. I'm Dan Mwangi. Now, having secured a 6-month repayment break for its debt service obligations to the Paris Club of International Creditors on Monday, Kenya will be eyeing more relief from other lenders to help it weather the COVID-19 pandemic. But as Vidyarthi Prop reports, so bad is the situation that Kenya may need to ask for more from its main external creditors, including China, above the short-term relief currently being offered by wealthy nations.
Monday's announcement by the Paris Club of International Creditors that it had accepted Kenya's request for a 6-month break in its debt service obligations was certainly a much-needed relief, but
we talk about 32 billion, which is the 10% of what counties receive. It's a drop in the ocean. It doesn't work that much for us because our debt problem is bigger than that. It's not a short-term thing that you can say you create a space for 6 months and then you can able to solve your problems. I think the structure of our debt is one of the biggest problems that we have.
Before making a complete U-turn and agreeing to defer on some of its debt payments. Kenya was on course to spending 904 billion shillings in debt service obligations in the current financial year, meaning the temporary debt service suspension could give the country some breathing room by freeing up more resources for government spending. But with the taxman likely to miss his revenue collection targets and the Paris Group deal freeing up just 32.9 billion shillings, pressure has been mounting on the government to seek more debt relief from other lenders including China, the country's largest bilateral creditor, accounting for about 21% of the country's total external debt.
You look at the amount of interest we pay, and especially projects that Chinese invested, that's where a lot of money goes in interest payment. And so we expected that government will be negotiating with the Chinese. We haven't seen that. And I think that's where we can have an impact if you're talking about debt restructuring.
In the current financial year alone, interest to the Exim Bank of China and the China Development Bank account for 21% of the 154 billion shillings bill on interest payment for external debt. Kenya is also seeking an additional 40.6 billion shillings worth of debt service relief from the G20 countries, which China is a member.
We need to talk about restructuring the whole SGR debt. And I think Parliament raised that issue. We need to renegotiate the whole deal of the SGR and payments because it's quite expensive. Looking at how tight government revenue is today, and looking at the pandemic effects, I think for the next 3 years, Kenya will still struggle. I think even 4 years will still struggle with that SGR payment.
Kenya is on course to breach its 9 trillion shillings debt ceiling in the next 2 years, with the National Treasury projecting that the country may have to borrow in excess of 1.8 trillion shillings over the period. The International Monetary Fund has already raised Kenya's risk of debt distress from moderate to high, even as economics research firm Capital Economics listed the country among 6 African countries at risk of defaulting on its debt. Victor Kiprop, NTV Business.
As the government seeks to expand the tax base through the digital service tax, some players in the digital space are engaging the Kenya Revenue Authority with a view to having the application of the tax deferred. Alex Mwangi reports.
The digital service tax of 1.5% of the gross transaction value is now in effect in Kenya for businesses that derive their income from services offered through a digital marketplace. One of the reasons for instituting the tax, among others, is the expansion of online marketplaces due to the restrictive mitigation measures that were put in place to tame COVID-19.
The transition from physical to virtual for the African consumer was taking longer than we thought it would. People were aware of the alternatives, but they were not using it. But when they are locked down, they begin to explore that alternative, which is the virtual marketplace.
The digital service tax is due at the time of the transfer of payment between the customer and the service provider.
Some of the requirements that we were supposed to submit, of course, were certificate of incorporation, just the normal documentation that is required for any business. However, we are still ongoing. As players and stakeholders in the ecosystem, that's how we are approaching it. Just trying to explain why it's not the right time to apply this.
Africa Sokoni projects that 2021 will have better fortunes than last year.
We think that 2021 will be even a much better year than 2020 in terms of sales, in terms of scaling, in terms of the adoption of the online space by the African customer.
The company, which now operates on a fully custom-built platform that was developed locally, has plans to expand its business this year. Alex Mwangi, NTV.
Now, international supermodel Naomi Campbell is Kenya's international tourism ambassador. This follows a meeting between Tourism and Wildlife Cabinet Secretary, that's Najib Balala, and Campbell, in which she agreed to the offer. The tourism industry is among the worst affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Signs of recovery are beginning to be witnessed in different parts of the world, even though a second strain of COVID-19 threatens to scuttle the recovery path. Now me, what can I say other than I'm done, and so is business. Good night.
Breaking news from Molfix. Let's see what they're developing right now.
Fancy's just for me. It really feels very comfy.
Molfix pants with anatomic fit technology. New Molfix pants, an invention from babies for babies.
You should also try Molfix.
That's when she replied, "Give me one good reason to stay with you." Nikamtumia 100 reasons to be my boo. Akanisho unabonga sana kwa text lakini in real life when I'm timid. Hapo nika get minutes ya kupaint picture vivid. Akasema ati I'm in demand. Unadhani DM yangu ni MD? Kumbe nilikuwa nishasotiwa na 100 MB.
Call, SMS and browse from only 10 shillings with Telkom. Now that's power. Telkom, moving with you.
We are Nation, Africa's independent media brand. We are committed to empowering all Africans, from the young to the old, from the curious to the educated, and from the heart of the cities to the rural areas. We are Nation. Join us, because if you want to get far, you do it together. Nation. Empower Africa.
Thanks for staying with us and welcome back to the broadcast. Now, here's an interesting one. 74-year-old retired teacher Samuel Karanja from Kiharu, that's in Murang'a County, is the topic of a live discussion in his village because of his death wish. Now, Karanja has already prepared where he'd like to be laid to rest, and get this, complete with his eulogy, in the name of saving his family the trouble of funeral arrangements. It is a story that has surprised many, as Samuel Karanja isn't even unwell, yet he has put everything in place, getting ready for his final day. Well, his family seem to disagree with him on this wish, and Martin Mwara brings us the details in just a moment. But as you do watch this story, do send in your thoughts. You can always tweet me at Smriti Vidyarthi, or also our Twitter handle at NTV Kenya. I'll take that one again. A 74-year-old retired teacher, that's Samuel Karanja from Kiharu, that is in Murang'a County, is the topic of a live discussion in his village, and it's all because he is so well prepared for his death, yet he's not even close to dying. All right, we'll bring you that story in a moment as we wait for it. But for now, here's just a reminder about why the Ugandan elections are important to Kenyans. Remember, it is D-Day for the country on Thursday, and here's a sneak peek of what's lined up from the NTV team covering those polls.
Kenya's largest export destination, with volumes worth 64 billion shillings per annum. A major source of Kenya's 143 gigawatt hours worth of imported electricity annually. One of two countries with which Kenya has mutually waived work permit fees for citizens, thereby liberalizing movement of labor across borders. What's at stake for Kenya as 18 million Ugandans head to the polls this Thursday? What does Uganda's 2021 general election mean for an increasingly integrated East African market and Kenya's position in it? This Thursday, NTV brings you round-the-clock, in-depth coverage and analysis of Uganda's election and what it means for Kenya.
All that coming your way on Thursday. Right now we can take you back to that story about Samuel Karanja, who has everything ready for his dying day. Martin Mwara has that story. Listen in.
This home in Mbombo in Kiaru constituency, Murang'a County, has become somewhat of a local attraction for the villagers here. They have come to see the spot that 74-year-old Samuel Karanja wants to be laid to rest when his time comes.
Mimi binafsi ndiye najijua zaidi kushinda mwingine yote.
His wife is totally against this.
Mimi siamini mambo kama hayo. Mahali nitakufia nitikwe hapo. Si ati kujenga nyumba. Watu wakipita wanamuona.
Her opinion on this does not really count. The retired teacher is also specific on the date he is to be buried, which he says has to be on the 7th because it is his favorite number.
Nilikuwa nikiangalia namba hapo. Namba 7. Alisema atakiva asiku tarehe 7 au 27.
Those are not the only requests from Karanja. He wants no flowers, no cross, and he will not be expecting his remains to be covered with soil.
Kwa kisa hii tumestuka juu hatujaiona maisha yetu. Mtu anajitengenezea mahali ya kushikwa na anatengenezea mahali dudu atakulia akikufa. Na anasema mambo ingine hatujaisikia maisha yetu.
Residents first thought it was a store that was being constructed. The inscribed word Kumenya, which loosely translated means knowing, perhaps tells the story of this structure that was put up at a cost of Kenya shillings 100,000. It is said Mzee Karanja does not leave the keys to this dear worldly possession of his.
Huko chini tuone hii jambo juu limetutangaza sana. Sasa tumesindwa badala ya kujenga hapa kwa nje, si agetelemswa huko chini huku kwa mandizi ama mkorofia. Hajachiba simo, ameweka tu furo. Sasa hata akisikwa hapa si atanukiria watu hapa kwa Gesagi. Sasa hii jambo imetusangaza sana.
In photos that circulated in social media, the man could be seen lying in the grave where he wants the coffin placed, sleeping on the left side as he would wish to be placed inside the coffin. He is also seen holding the picture that will be placed on top of the coffin. Parents to some of his former students thinks Mzee Karanja has lost it.
Amenisomesha mtoto standard 7 na amesoma vizuri huyo mtoto, nikashindwa kwani huyu mwalimu ni nini baya na yeye.
Mzee Karanja is not ailing as far as the family is concerned, much as they are concerned by his future plans for his death. They say ashes to ashes and dust to dust, but for Mzee Karanja, his destination is concrete. The bold move by the patriarch of this homestead has left the villagers in shock, saying they have never witnessed such an occurrence in this locality. Martin Mora, NTV, Murang'a County.
Well, perhaps Mzee is just a very organized man. And remember, he said that he's doing all this to save the family the trouble of funeral arrangements. So he's doing it all for himself. All right, well, may you live for a long time, Mzee Karanja. Elsewhere, masks that helped save lives during the coronavirus pandemic, and they are still saving lives. Remember to keep wearing yours. Well, they are proving to be a deadly hazard for wildlife, with birds and marine creatures ensnared in the staggering number of discarded facial coverings littering animal habitats. Single-use surgical masks have been found scattered around pavements, waterways and beaches worldwide since countries began mandating their use in public places to slow the pandemic spread. Now, warned once, the thin protective materials can take hundreds of years to decompose. In an incident that captured headlines in Britain, a gull was rescued by the RSPCA after its legs became tangled in straps of a disposable mask for up to a week. More than 1.5 billion masks made their way into the world's oceans last year, accounting for around 6,200 extra tons of marine plastic pollution, according to environmental group Ocean Asia. Campaigners have urged people to bin them properly and snip the straps to reduce the risk of animals becoming ensnared. Oh gosh, look at that. Well, that certainly is a reminder that not only should you wear your mask properly, but also ensure that you discard it properly. And a good tip there, snip off those straps to avoid any creatures getting entangled in it. All right, before we take a quick break, just an update from Uganda. And NTV Uganda has put online that President Yoweri Museveni has reshuffled over 145 resident district commissioners and 87 deputies. In some of the notable changes, interdicted Jinja RDC Eric Sakwa has been dropped from office. Deborah Msegiwa has moved from Kibale to replace Sakwa as Jinja RDC. All right, that's the latest from Uganda, but remember, more coming your way on Thursday. We take a break now, and the sports is next with Ida.
Malkia siku njema na tunukiwa offers kila siku.
Piga *444# utunukiwe Credo double.
Something has happened. I need you right now. I didn't mean to, and now she won't pick up.
Okay, get in. There's somewhere I know we can go. Is that the only reason you called? Because I'm your best friend?
What other reason should there be?
Are you in love with Joey?
Yes, I love her.
I mean, you could marry me.
Come on, V.
Select a plot of value-added land within Garden of Joy gated community off Koma Kennel Road, Machakos. Now ukwamue January na 21K with Optiven. Call us now on 0790 300 300.
We are Nation, Africa's independent media brand. We are committed to empowering all Africans, from the young to the old, from the curious to the educated, and from the heart of the cities to the rural areas. We are Nation. Join us, because if you want to get far, you do it together. Nation. Empower Africa.
Kenya's largest export destination, with volumes worth 64 billion shillings per annum. A major source of Kenya's 143 gigawatt hours worth of imported electricity annually. One of two countries with which Kenya has mutually waived work permit fees for citizens, thereby liberalizing movement of labor across borders. What's at stake for Kenya as 18 million Ugandans head to the polls this Thursday? What does Uganda's 2021 general election mean for an increasingly integrated East African market and Kenya's position in it? This Thursday, NTV brings you round-the-clock, in-depth coverage and analysis of Uganda's election and what it means for Kenya.
Great, a very good evening to you. Time for the latest happening in the world of sport. I guess a happy new year too. Well, Tennis Kenya will kickstart its 2021 calendar of events by playing host to the first international event dubbed the International Tennis Federation World Tennis Junior Circuit that will be at the Nairobi Club. The outdoor clay court event under the international tennis body has been divided into 8 weeks throughout the year, 3 weeks in January, 2 in July and 3 in November respectively, while the Nairobi event is scheduled to start on January 18th and run for 3 straight weeks with about 20 participating countries including India, France, Russia and the hosts Kenya being among the qualifying nations. This event will make way for the events that didn't happen last year, including the Kenya, Karen and Nairobi Open, expected to follow suit in the coming months.
Have a look at the matches, but we'll be sharing the results on our social media platforms. And what we can promise the fans is that the players will give their best, and we hope the wins will come from Kenya.
Great, and we will be moving on to Michael Olunga and looking at the Kenyan international who did make his debut, that is in the Qatari Top Flight League Tuesday, starting for Al Duhail in a 3-1 loss to Al Assad. The 26-year-old was unveiled on Monday and went straight to work in the match that featured the 2 top teams in the Qatari Stars League. Olunga reportedly left his previous club, Japan's Kashiwa Reysol, that was early on Sunday, and then headed to Qatar to complete his transfer to Al Duhail. The deal is said to be worth around 900 million shillings, with the Japanese club reportedly receiving 7 million euros for the lanky forward. Great. All the best there to Engineer. We know those goals are definitely coming. Let's cross borders, and Manchester United can go top of the English Premier League if they draw or beat Burnley at Turf Moor in tonight's late kickoff. United are tied with Liverpool on 33 points, though the Red Devils have a game in hand. Meanwhile, Burnley are 16th with 16 points from 15 games. Man United have put together a pretty decent away record. They are unbeaten in their last 14 Premier League away matches. United forward Edison Cavani is available again after completing a 3-match ban. Everton travelled to Wolves in the other late kickoff, while Sheffield are currently on against Newcastle. Great. To the La Liga, where struggling Osasuna are currently on against Granada. Osasuna, of course, hoping to build on their shocking win over Real Madrid over the weekend. Later on, though, Atletico Madrid will be hoping to extend their slender 1-point lead at the top of the table when they lock horns with Sevilla, following a shock 1-0 defeat to Cornellà that led to an early exit from the Copa del Rey. Atletico Madrid are looking to gather themselves. It will be an important game for the home side, especially with Real breathing down their necks. Sevilla, though, have enjoyed an excellent record at the Wanda Metropolitano. In addition, these two sides have had a tendency to draw their matches, and a similar result this time would be near disastrous for Diego Simeone's men. And former NBA champions Toronto Raptors blew a 17-point lead to the Portland Trail Blazers, losing 112-111. Ouch, that had to hurt. Pascal Siakam finished with his first career triple-double of 22 points, 13 rebounds, and 100 assists, but fell short on making the basket on 2 crucial points that would have given the Raptors that victory. CJ McCollum finished the game with a game-high 30 points and nailed that game-winning bucket with 9.6 seconds left to go. Damian Lillard came alive in the second half and finished with 23 points in that win. Well, current champions LA Lakers will be in action at 4 a.m. East African time as they take on Houston Rockets, and Golden State Warriors host the Indiana Pacers. Some select fixtures there, much more though tomorrow.
Anthony had aim, but that put the smaller Van Vliet against Carmelo. Siakam.
Well, definitely lots happening in the sporting world in the next few hours. Do let me know at Ida Waringa on Twitter on what you think about that game between Manchester United.
All right, Ida, thanks very much. And just before we close, a tweet here from Twitter's public policy saying ahead of the Ugandan election, we're hearing reports that internet service providers are being ordered to block social media and messaging apps. We strongly condemn internet shutdowns. They are hugely harmful, violate basic human rights and the principles of the open internet. Also coming through, the government of Uganda has written that the president warns that if the social media channels like Facebook and Twitter are not being friendly and equitable to some of the Ugandans, then there is no reason as to why we should have them operate here. So clearly a battle of sorts going on there between the government of Uganda and various social media sites. We'll keep track of this and bring you the very latest as and when the developments take place. All right, that's all from us though at NTV. Thanks very much for your company. David Agondoa has been our sign language interpreter. I'm Smriti Vidyarthi, and in the meantime, have yourselves a very good night and keep safe. Bye-bye.
This is NTV.
We were together with you and Paul Ngay in jail. If you go to Ngay's home, he has planted a lot of coffee and other crops. What have you done for yourself? If you go to Kubai's home, he has a big house and a nice shamba. Kagia, what have you done for yourself? President Jomo Kenyatta was speaking at a public meeting in Kandara, Murang'a district. The man he was berating was Bildad Kagia. He and Kenyatta could not see eye to eye on the issue of land. Kagia would confront the situation by setting up a religious sect, the Church of Kagia.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Antonina.
Thank you for making us. Thank you for making us your favorite drive show crew. National FM, we love you. Oh, thank you, people. This is the bad guys I'm stitches. I got you good. You are the one with cheese.
Tunajibamba na show yenyu, muendelee hivyo hivyo.
I came to rap it up, do my thing.
Thank you for listening to 96.3 Nation FM.
Of course, Antona Obina.
Obina.
Mad love, mad respect. Wow, photo.
I run the city.
How many ways can you enjoy your Jameson? Well, with a taste so smooth, every pour is perfect for chilling, chatting, and connecting, and taking time out to toast life's little pleasures. So grab a glass and make room for others, because good taste doesn't have a time or place.